The delivery room was suffused with tension and anxiety as doctors and nurses struggled to bring new life into the world. Stephanie's pregnancy had been marked by the brutal abandonment of her husband, who left her alone to face the challenges of her dream of becoming a mother. While the doctors worked frantically to bring the baby into the world, Stephanie struggled with pain and fear, desperately wishing that everything would go smoothly for the sake of her son. She knew she no longer had the strength to fight, but her love for the little life growing inside her kept her steadfast, determined to give her baby a chance to live and thrive. So, at the moment when the baby finally came into the world, Stephanie felt a wave of relief and gratitude wash over her. She looked at her newborn son's face, her eyes filled with tears of joy and emotion. But then, her vision began to darken, and a feeling of cold and weakness enveloped her, as if her body was sliding into a dark and bottomless abyss. In the coziness of the picturesque town of Asheville, North Carolina, where the seasons were marked by flowering fields in spring and golden leaves in autumn, lived a girl named Stephanie. Since childhood, Stephanie was a child full of life and joy. Her eyes shone with a mixture of innocence and curiosity, reflecting the magical world that only children can see. At the age of 5, Stephanie already showed an amazing maternal side. While other children ran around the parks and played hide and seek, Stephanie preferred to play mother and son. In the backyard of her house, surrounded by flowers and fruit trees, she set up her own little world. She used her toys as characters in a large family, where she was always the caring and devoted mother. She had a favorite doll, named Lily, who was always in her arms. Cared for Lily with genuine love and impressive for her age. He would put the doll to sleep in a makeshift crib with soft blankets and lull her to sleep by singing lullabies he had heard from his own mother. "Time for bed, Lily," Stephanie said, her voice soft and affectionate. "You had a full day, now you need to rest." She would take a plastic spoon and pretend to feed the doll. "Open your mouth, Lily. You need to eat to stay strong and healthy," instructed Stephanie, earnestly. "Good job. Now we go to the doctor to make sure everything is fine." Stephanie's parents, Mary and John, watched these pranks tenderly. Mary, an elementary school teacher, and John, an accountant, have always encouraged their daughter's imagination and creativity. They realized that Stephanie's pranks were not just childish fun, but an expression of her deep and innate desire to care for others. She was a compassionate and caring girl, characteristics that set her apart from other children. "John, look how she takes care of Lily," Mary commented with a smile. "It's like she really believes the doll is alive." "Yes, Mary," John would reply, amazed. "Our little girl already shows a huge heart. I am sure she will be a wonderful mother one day." Stephanie's friends often joined her in her pranks, delighted with how she turned simple dolls and toys into a close-knit and loving family. She arranged picnics on the lawn, where the dolls were carefully laid out around a colored towel and fed with clay dumplings and imaginary tea. "Sarah, you could be Lily's aunt," Stephanie suggested to a friend. "And Tommy, you may be the uncle who came to visit us. Let's have a great picnic." "Okay, Stephanie, I'll get the juice," Sarah replied, enthusiastically joining in. "Don't forget the clay dumplings," Tommy recalled, laughing. "They are Lily's favorite." Over the years, this desire to care and protect only strengthened in Stephanie. Every mother and child play fueled her dream of one day being a real mother. She saw motherhood not just as a responsibility, but as a mission of love, something she felt was her life purpose. Years passed and Stephanie grew up, but the desire to take care of others never left her. At 14, she was a vibrant teenager with wavy brown hair and expressive eyes that always conveyed a welcoming warmth. Although the dolls were kept in the attic, the essence of childhood play remained alive in her heart. One night over dinner, Stephanie felt a growing curiosity. The table was set with dishes of roasted meat, fresh vegetables, and a homemade loaf that his mother had prepared. The candles cast a soft light that made the kitchen an even cozier place. Between gasps and laughter, she looked at her parents, Mary and John, and a question popped into her mind. "Mom, Dad," Stephanie began hesitantly as she cut a piece of meat. "I always wondered why you didn't have more children." Mary and John exchanged glances, surprised by the sudden question. John put down his fork and smiled tenderly at his daughter. "Well, Stephanie," he began, choosing his words carefully. We've always wanted a big family, but things don't always go as planned. Mary sighed, placing her hand over John's. After you were born, we had some difficulties, she explained, her voice soft but firm. We tried to have more children, but it was not possible. Oh, Stephanie replied, taking in her parents' words. I always wondered what it would be like to have a brother or sister. I think I would have liked to help take care of them. John smiled warmly, admiring Stephanie's sensitivity. You would be a wonderful sister, Steph. He always had this special way of caring for others. It's true, agreed Mary, her look full of pride. Even when I was little, you were always so caring and protective. I am sure you will be an amazing mother one day. Stephanie smiled, feeling a mixture of emotion and understanding. I know it's going to take a while for that, she said, laughing lightly, but I really want to be a mother one day. I think it's something that's always been inside of me. The conversation went on, and the dinner continued with stories and laughter, but Stephanie's question had left a mark. That night, as she prepared to sleep, she reflected on the deep desire she had always felt to take care of others. He kept these reflections in his heart, knowing that one day, somehow, he would fulfill his dream. The years continued to pass, and Stephanie, now 16, was a young woman full of energy and dreams. She excelled at school, had a loyal circle of friends, and was always available to help anyone in need. Even with the hectic routine as a teenager, the desire to take care of others remained strong within her. On a sunny Saturday afternoon, while helping her mother prepare cookies in the kitchen, Mary watched her daughter with a thoughtful look. She saw in Stephanie a young woman who still carried that same maternal instinct she had had since she was a child. It was then that an idea popped into his mind. Steph, have you ever thought about working as a nanny? Mary asked casually as she mixed the cookie dough. Nothing fixed, just a few times a week. I think it would be a good way for you to earn some extra money, and besides, you have always enjoyed taking care of children. Stephanie paused for a moment, considering the suggestion. Work as a nanny? I never thought of that before, but it sounds like a good idea, Mom. I really like children, and it would be great to be able to help families in the neighborhood. Mary smiled, pleased with her daughter's answer. I know some people who may need a babysitter from time to time. I can talk to them and see if they're interested. That would be amazing, Mom. Thank you, Stephanie replied, feeling excited at the prospect. When can we start looking? We can start today, Mary said, wiping her hands on her apron. I'll make some calls after we're done here. That same afternoon, Mary made some calls to friends and neighbors, and it wasn't long before Stephanie received her first opportunity. Mrs. Anderson, who lived 2 houses away, needed someone to look after her 4-year-old twins, Emma and Ethan, while she sorted out some chores around town. The next afternoon, Stephanie was at the door of the Andersons' house, feeling a little nervous, but mostly excited. Mrs. Anderson welcomed her warmly, showing her the house and introducing her to the children. Hi, Emma. Hi, Ethan. My name is Stephanie, she said, kneeling down to keep up with the twins. Let's have a lot of fun today. The twins smiled shyly, but soon felt comfortable with Stephanie. She took them to the yard, where they played hide and seek, made sandcastles, and invented stories with their toys. Stephanie felt genuine joy in caring for them, remembering her own childhood pranks. Do you like superheroes? Stephanie asked, sitting on the grass with Emma and Ethan by her side. Yes, exclaimed Ethan. I want to be Superman. I want to be Wonder Woman, Emma said, excited. So let's be a superhero team and save the day, suggested Stephanie, standing up and pretending to have superpowers. Quick, we have to save the teddy bear from the tree. The afternoon passed quickly, and when Mrs. Anderson returned, she found her children happy and exhausted, excitedly telling of the adventures they had had with Stephanie. Thank you so much, Stephanie. The kids loved spending time with you, Ms. Anderson said, smiling. You are an excellent nanny. It was a pleasure, Mrs. Anderson. I really enjoyed taking care of them, Stephanie replied, feeling accomplished. So Stephanie began working as a nanny, caring for neighborhood children and gaining experience that only reinforced her desire to one day be a mother. Every day with the children was a new opportunity to learn, love, and grow. Time passed, and Stephanie continued to work as a nanny, earning not only money, but also valuable experience and unforgettable moments with the children she cared for. She had become a beloved figure in the community, and her parents trusted her with their eyes closed. Each day spent with the children reinforced her dream of being a mother and inspired her to seek a future where she could continue to care for and educate the little ones. At 17, Stephanie began to seriously think about her academic future. Sitting at the kitchen table, reviewing a catalog of college courses, she talked to her parents about her options. "I was thinking," Stephanie began, looking at Mary and John, "I want to take a course that will bring me closer to children, perhaps something related to child education or child psychology." Mary, proud, nodded. "I think it's a great idea, Steph. You have always had a natural ability to care for and understand children. It would be perfect for you." John agreed, smiling. "Yes, Stephanie. We are sure that you will be excellent at whatever you decide to do. But if you choose something related to children, you are following your heart." Stephanie smiled, feeling supported and motivated. "I'm going to start raising money for college. I want to make sure that I can pay the expenses without any problems." Mary held her daughter's hand. "You are already doing a great job, dear, and we're here to help with whatever it takes." With renewed determination, Stephanie continued to work as a nanny, devoting herself even more to her job and saving every penny she earned. She spent her weekends taking care of children, organizing educational games, and even helping with homework. Each experience brought her closer to her goal. One spring afternoon, while caring for a group of children at the Smiths' home, Stephanie had a revelation. Sitting in a circle with the children, reading a story about a friendly dragon, she realized what a positive impact she was having on their lives. The attentive eyes and happy smiles of the children made her feel a deep realization. "Are you going to be a teacher, Steph?" asked Timmy, one of the boys, his eyes shining with curiosity. Stephanie laughed softly. "I'm thinking of being something like that, Timmy. I want to work with children and help care and teach, just like I do with you." "I think you would be the best teacher in the world," said Sarah, another girl, hugging Stephanie warmly. "Thank you, Sarah. That means a lot to me," Stephanie replied, emotional. Back home that night, Stephanie talked to her parents about her reflections and decisions. "Mom, Dad, I think I want to pursue a career in early childhood education. Today, as I read to the children, I realized how much I love being around them and how fulfilled I feel helping to educate them." "That's wonderful, Steph," Mary said, her eyes shining with pride. "We always knew you had a special gift for it." John nodded. "And we'll be here to support you every step of the way." Thus, Stephanie began to prepare for the next chapter of her life. She researched colleges that offered courses in early childhood education and child psychology, submitted applications, and began studying for entrance exams. Each day brought her closer to her dream, and she knew she was on the right track. Mornings at the Martin house were always hectic. Stephanie was taking care of Alex, a 6-year-old boy full of energy and curiosity. It was a summer day, and the two were in the backyard, surrounded by the singing of birds and the fragrance of flowers. Stephanie organized an outdoor painting session, encouraging Alex's creativity. "Look, Steph, I made a dragon," exclaimed Alex, proud of his masterpiece. "It's amazing, Alex. You have a special talent," praised Stephanie, smiling. Suddenly, Alex quickly got up to pick up another color of paint, but tripped over a stone and fell on his forehead to the ground. Stephanie heard the muffled sound of the impact and ran up to him, seeing the deep cut that was beginning to bleed. "Alex, are you well?" Stephanie asked, trying to remain calm despite the urgency of the situation. Alex cried, tears mingling with the blood that ran down his forehead. Stephanie quickly grabbed a clean cloth, pressing it against the cut to stop the blood. "Stay calm, Alex. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to the hospital to take care of it." Wasting no time, Stephanie grabbed Alex on her lap and ran to the Martins' car, calling his parents on the way to inform them of what had happened. He drove the car carefully but quickly to the nearest hospital. Alex kept crying, but Stephanie's soft, comforting voice helped calm him down. "You are a very brave boy, Alex. We're almost there," she said, trying to keep her tone serene despite the anxiety she felt. Upon arriving at the hospital, Stephanie quickly explained the situation to the nurses, who who took Alex to be treated. She remained beside him, holding his hand as the doctor cleaned the cut and applied the necessary stitches. Alex was scared, but Stephanie's calming presence helped lessen the fear. "You were very brave, Alex," Stephanie said as the doctor finished putting the stitches in. "You will soon be back to your games." Alex's parents arrived shortly after, relieved to see that everything was under control. "Thank you, Stephanie," Ms. Martin said, hugging her gratefully. "You did an amazing job taking care of Alex. I don't know what we would have done without you." "It was a scare, but I'm glad he's okay," Stephanie replied, feeling a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Returning home that evening, Stephanie reflected on the incident. She realized that while she had handled the situation well, she needed to be even more prepared for emergencies if she wanted to pursue a career caring for children. That experience served as a reminder of the responsibility and challenges involved in his dream. "Mom, Dad, I had a hard day today," Stephanie began over dinner. "Alex had a little accident, and I had to take him to the hospital for stitches. Although everything ended well, I realized that I need to specialize more to deal with situations like this in the future." Mary and John listened carefully, admiring their daughter's maturity and commitment. "You did an amazing job, Steph," John said, holding her hand, "and it's very wise of you to want to prepare even more." "I agree," Mary said. "Maybe you can take a first aid course or something similar. This will certainly help her feel more confident and prepared." Stephanie nodded, determined. "That's exactly what I was thinking. I want to be ready for any situation, whether as a nanny or in any other role caring for children." With this goal in mind, Stephanie enrolled in a first aid course and began to further study childcare and psychology. Each step taken brought her closer to her dream, strengthening her conviction and preparing her for the challenges ahead. Stephanie's efforts and dedication finally paid off. After months of preparation, she received the long-awaited acceptance letter from the University of Chapel Hill, where she could pursue early childhood education. The news brought a mix of emotions for Stephanie and her family, as the university was in another city, meaning she would need to leave Asheville. It was a sunny afternoon when the letter arrived. Stephanie was in the yard, playing with Alex and other children, when Mary appeared at the door, holding an envelope. "Stephanie, there's a letter here for you," Mary said, a mysterious smile on her lips. Stephanie ran to her mother, picking up the envelope with trembling hands. As he opened and read the first words, his heart raced. "I was accepted to the University of Chapel Hill," Stephanie shouted, her eyes shining with joy and relief. The children around cheered, though not fully understanding the magnitude of the news. Mary and John hugged their daughter, their faces reflecting both pride and a hint of sadness at the impending separation. "We're so proud of you, Steph," John said, his eyes waterlogged. "We knew you could do it. You will realize your dream," Mary added, holding her daughter's hand. "But we will miss him every day." Over the next few months, Stephanie prepared for the move. She packed her things, spent more time with the children she cared for, and enjoyed every moment with her family. The farewells were emotional, and the children she loved so much surrounded her with hugs and words of affection. "You're coming back to visit us, aren't you, Steph?" Alex asked, his eyes full of hope. "Of course, Alex. I promise I will always come back to see you," Stephanie replied, emotional. On the day of departure, the Martins' house was full of friends and family who came to say goodbye and wish them luck. Stephanie hugged each one, feeling the weight of change but also the excitement of a new beginning. "You're going to do very well, Stephanie," Mrs. Anderson said, holding her hands. "You were born for this." "Thank you, Mrs. Anderson," Stephanie replied with a smile. "I will do my best." The trip to Chapel Hill was filled with reflections and expectations. Upon arriving in the new city, Stephanie felt a mixture of fear and excitement. The university campus was vast and full of life, with students from everywhere, each in pursuit of their own dreams. Settled in her dorm room, Stephanie felt for the first time the weight of distance from her family and friends, but also the freedom and opportunity to start something new. Determined to enjoy every moment, she threw herself into her studies with the same passion she always had for children. In the first weeks of classes, Stephanie stood out not only for her knowledge, but also for her enthusiasm and dedication. She made new friends and began to form a support network that helped her cope with homesickness. One day, after an inspiring class on child development, Stephanie found a park near the campus. He sat on a bench, watching the children play, and felt an inner peace. "That's what I want to do," she thought, smiling. "I want to make a difference in the lives of these children, help them grow and develop." At the University of Chapel Hill, Stephanie quickly adapted to college life. Her early childhood education classes were inspiring, and she dove headfirst into each project and case study, always with the dream of helping children grow up healthy and happy. She made new friends, found study groups, and engaged in extracurricular activities that kept her busy and motivated. However, with university life also came new experiences and challenges. Stephanie met several young people, and some of them aroused her interest. She went on dates, attended parties, and enjoyed the vibrant social life on campus. However, she soon realized that her expectations and dreams often did not align with those of the boys she knew. One night, while having dinner with some friends in the campus cafeteria, the conversation eventually turned to the future and life plans. "I definitely want to travel the world after I graduate," said Jake, one of Stephanie's friends. "The idea of having children and settling down now seems so distant." "Me too," Lisa agreed. "Maybe one day I will have children, but for now, I just want to enjoy the freedom and focus on my career." Stephanie smiled, but she couldn't help but feel a slight sadness. She knew that her dream of being a mother was something she had always carried with her, and hearing her friends talk about a life without children made her feel a little out of place. That same night, after some promising encounters with a boy named Matt, Stephanie found herself again confronted with this dream difference. Sitting in a cozy cafe off campus, they talked about their future plans. "So what do you want to do after you graduate?" Matt asked, interested. "I want to work with children, maybe in an elementary school or a child development clinic," Stephanie replied excitedly. "And eventually I want to have my own family. Being a mother is a dream for me." Matt smiled, but his expression soon turned thoughtful. "That's amazing, Stephanie. But to be honest, I don't know if I want to have children. At least, not in the next few years. I prefer to focus on my career and explore the world first." Stephanie nodded, trying not to show the disappointment she felt. "I understand, Matt. Everyone has their priorities and dreams." They continued the conversation, but the fundamental difference in their future plans hung between them, becoming an invisible but significant obstacle. Months passed, and Stephanie repeatedly found herself in similar situations. She met interesting boys and started hanging out with some, but the question of having children always came up and ended up being a point of contention. Increasingly, she realized that her dream of becoming a mother was not shared by most of the young people she knew. One day, during a walk around campus with her friend Emily, Stephanie let off steam. "Sometimes it seems that I am the only one who thinks so much about having a family and children." Emily smiled, understanding. "No, Steph, you're not the only one. It's just that many people our age still don't think about it. But that doesn't mean you won't find someone who shares your dreams." Stephanie sighed, relieved to have someone she could talk to. "I know it's early days, but sometimes it's frustrating. I just want to find someone who dreams of a family as much as I do." "You'll find it," Emily said, giving him a comforting hug. "And in the meantime, you are preparing to be a mother and an amazing professional. The rest will fall into place at the right time." Emily's words were a comfort to Stephanie. She decided to focus even more on her studies and the children she adored so much. He knew that his path was unique, and that at some point he would find someone who shared his dreams. Stephanie could hardly contain her excitement the morning she started her internship at the local children's school. The principal, Mrs. Ramirez, greeted her warmly at the entrance. "Stephanie, good to see you here. We look forward to having her with us," Ms. Ramirez said with a welcoming smile. "Thank you, Mrs. Ramirez. I'm really excited to get started," Stephanie replied, trying to control her nerves. The classroom was vibrant and full of activity when Stephanie walked in. Young children were sitting in small groups, some drawing, others playing with colored blocks. Stephanie approached the head teacher, Mrs. Thompson, a kind and experienced woman. "Good morning, Stephanie. Good to have you here with us." "The kids are looking forward to meeting her," Ms. Thompson said, smiling as she organized materials for the morning activity. "Good morning, Mrs. Thompson. I'm ready to help with whatever you need, Stephanie replied, feeling more confident next to the teacher. During the first few weeks, Stephanie watched closely as Mrs. Thompson interacted with the children and conducted the activities. She helped organize classroom space, participated in group reading sessions, and assisted with hands-on math and science activities. On a sunny afternoon, Stephanie was playing with a group of children in the schoolyard. She bent down to examine an insect that one of the children had found. "Look, Stephanie, it's a ladybug," exclaimed Tommy, a little boy with freckles on his face. "Yes, Tommy. Ladybugs are very special insects," Stephanie replied, smiling as she watched Tommy study the little insect curiously. As the weeks passed, Stephanie became more and more involved in the daily activities of the school. She began to develop relationships with children, learning their names, interests, and unique personalities. One afternoon, during story time, Stephanie was reading an animated story to a group of children sitting in a circle around her. And then the little rabbit discovered that friendship was the greatest treasure of all, Stephanie concluded, closing the book with a smile. "Tell me another story, Stephanie," asked Sarah, a curly-haired girl. "Of course, Sarah. How about a story about a magical dragon that flew through the skies?" suggested Stephanie, seeing the children's eyes sparkle with expectation. As Stephanie adjusted to the pace and demands of life at nursery school, she also faced challenges. Dealing with challenging behaviors and resolving small conflicts between children required patience and skill. She learned from Ms. Thompson's advice and from her own daily experiences. On a particularly busy afternoon, Stephanie was helping the children get ready for snack time when Emma and Jack began arguing over who had the right to use a particular toy. "Emma, Jack, let's talk about this. We can find a solution together," Stephanie said, crouching down beside them to mediate the situation. "I was playing with it first," protested Jack, crossing his arms indignantly. "But now it's my turn, Jack," replied Emma, with tears in her eyes. Stephanie took a deep breath, quickly thinking of a way to resolve the impasse. "What if we split our time? Emma, you can play for another 5 minutes, and then Jack will have his turn. What do you think?" After a moment of hesitation, Emma and Jack agreed to Stephanie's proposed solution. She smiled, relieved to see the two reconcile and play together again. At the end of the semester, Stephanie looked back with a sense of accomplishment. Her internship not only strengthened her desire to work with children, but also equipped her with practical skills and valuable experience. She knew she still had a lot to learn, but she was more confident than ever in her path as a child educator. Graduation day has finally arrived for Stephanie at the University of Chapel Hill. The ceremony was filled with emotion and pride as she walked across the stage to receive her early childhood education diploma. Her family, including her parents and younger sister Laura, applauded enthusiastically. "We are so proud of you, Stephanie," said her mother, Mary, as she hugged her tight. "You've achieved so much to get here." Stephanie smiled, feeling a mixture of happiness and gratitude. "Thank you, Mom. I couldn't have done it without your support." After the ceremony, Stephanie celebrated with friends and colleagues. They gathered at a restaurant near campus for an impromptu party, reminiscing about the moments shared over the years of study. "So what's the next step for you, Stephanie?" asked Emily, her close friend since freshman year. Stephanie smiled, thinking about the next steps of her journey. "I would like to start looking for opportunities to work in a children's school. I think I have found my place in this area." Emily nodded, satisfied. "I'm sure you will find the perfect place. You have always been amazing with children." In the days that followed, Stephanie sent resumes and cover letters to several children's schools in the region. She prepared for interviews, eager to begin her career as an educator. It was during an interview at Rainbow Elementary School that Stephanie felt she had found the right place to begin her professional journey. The school was known for its commitment to high-quality early childhood education, and Stephanie was impressed by the welcoming atmosphere and commitment of the staff. "Stephanie, we are very happy to offer you the position of early childhood educator here at Rainbow Elementary School," said the principal, Mrs. Lopez, with a warm smile. "We believe his passion and background will be a valuable addition to our team." Stephanie could hardly contain her joy as she accepted the offer. "Thank you very much, Mrs. Lopez. I can't wait to get started." In the early days as an educator at Rainbow Elementary School, Stephanie plunged headlong into her responsibilities. She decorated her classroom with bright colors and educational materials, creating an inviting environment for children to explore, learn, and grow. In the mornings, Stephanie led group reading sessions, encouraging the children to discover the pleasure of reading. In the afternoon, she organized practical math and science activities, arousing the curiosity and enthusiasm of the little learners. One day, during her lunch break, Stephanie found herself surrounded by a lively group of children who wanted to share their stories and discoveries from the day. "Stephanie, today I learned about butterflies in science class," Jake exclaimed, his eyes shining with excitement. "How nice, Jake. Butterflies are so beautiful, aren't they?" Stephanie replied, smiling as she listened to the children share their experiences. As the days turned into weeks and months, Stephanie discovered a renewed joy in her work as a child educator. She witnessed each child's progress, from the first words read to the friendships that formed in the classroom. At the end of her first year at Rainbow Elementary School, Stephanie looked back with a sense of accomplishment. She knew she had found her passion and purpose in helping children grow and develop. And as the sun set over the town of Chapel Hill, Stephanie looked to the future with hope and determination, ready to continue her journey as an early childhood educator with a heart full of love for children and the endless possibilities each new day brought. As Stephanie blossomed in her career as an educator at Rainbow Elementary School, a shadow of sadness hung over her heart. She was surrounded by lovely children every day, teaching, guiding, and nurturing their dreams. However, when the sun set over the town of Chapel Hill, his smile sometimes hid a restlessness. One afternoon, after a busy day at school, Stephanie found herself reflecting on her life as she walked through the university's quiet campus. She thought about the years that have passed since her graduation, the joys and challenges she has faced. But he also thought about what was still missing in his life. Emily, her closest friend, noticed Stephanie's melancholy and approached her kindly over coffee in the late afternoon. "Steph, you seem a little thoughtful lately. Is everything okay?" Emily asked, worried. Stephanie sighed, slowly stirring her coffee. "That's it. I love what I do at school, but sometimes I feel like I'm missing something. All my friends are moving on with their lives, and I have yet to find someone to share my dreams with." Emily nodded understandingly. "Finding love and building a family are natural desires, Steph. You have so much love to give, so much to offer someone." Stephanie looked at Emily, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you, Emily. That's comforting to hear." In the following months, Stephanie tried to open up more to new social experiences. She accepted invitations to blind dates, attended social events, and joined common interest groups. But despite meeting interesting people, she has not yet found someone with whom she felt she could build a future. One evening, while browsing through old photos on her cell phone, Stephanie stopped at an image of her family reunited on a summer trip. She looked at the radiant happiness of her parents, the contagious smile of her sister Laura, and the warm embrace of her grandparents. Deep down, she felt a deep desire to create her own family one day. During a family dinner at her parents' house, Stephanie decided to share her thoughts with them. As they talked and laughed together at the table, she found the courage to talk about her feelings. "Mom, Dad, you met young and built a beautiful family together. How did they know they were made for each other?" Stephanie asked, her voice revealing a mix of curiosity and longing. Her father, John, smiled gently as he placed his hand over hers. "Daughter, when you find someone who shares your dreams and values, everything seems to fall into place perfectly. It's like time stands still and you see a bright future together." Mary, his mother, nodded with an affectionate smile. "When you least expect it, love appears. You are a special person, Stephanie, and you deserve to find someone who values all that you are." Stephanie thanked her parents for their support and comforting words. She knew that love could not be forced, but she continued to keep her heart open to new possibilities. As time went on, Stephanie continued to passionately dedicate herself to her school career and her search for love. Sometimes the desire to build a family became almost palpable, but she was confident that at the right time fate would lead her to the right path. Stephanie contemplated the reflection of the setting sun in the calm waters of the lake near her home in Chapel Hill. At 30, she felt the gentle weight of age on her shoulders, a mixture of gratitude for her blossoming career at Rainbow Elementary School and a lingering yearning for something more. The desire to be a mother still pulsed within her, sometimes softened by the constant rhythm of her daily responsibilities. One day, over coffee at the local coffee shop, Stephanie found herself in a casual conversation with a man named Adam. He was tall and friendly, with a welcoming smile that lit up the room. "So, you work with children?" Adam asked, curious, while stirring his latte. "Yes, I am a child educator at Rainbow Elementary School. It's a wonderful job," Stephanie replied, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. Adam nodded with interest. "How cool. I have always admired those who have this natural ability with children. I myself want to be a father one day." Stephanie looked at him in surprise. "Really? I also have this dream." Over the weeks that followed, Stephanie and Adam began to meet regularly. They discovered a deep connection in their shared aspirations to build a family. Adam was kind and caring, always ready to listen to Stephanie's stories about her experiences at school. One sunny afternoon, Stephanie and Adam strolled through the city park, enjoying the fresh air and sunshine. "I love seeing how passionate you are about your work, Stephanie. It's inspiring," Adam said, looking at her with sincere admiration. Stephanie smiled, feeling comfortable next to him. "I feel so happy when I'm with the kids. They have a way of making everything lighter, more joyful." Adam nodded, holding her hand gently. "I never imagined myself without children. It's like it's an essential part of what I want for my future." As their relationship deepened, Stephanie found in Adam a kind and supportive companion. He supported her in her career ambitions and shared her enthusiasm for the potential of raising a family together. On a special evening, Adam invited Stephanie to a romantic candlelight dinner in a cozy restaurant in the city center. "Stephanie, since we met, my life has changed in a way I could never have imagined," Adam began, looking at her tenderly. "You brought so much joy and purpose to my life. I can't imagine my future without you." Stephanie felt her heart race as she held Adam's hand. "Adam, I feel the same way too. You brought a new glow to my life." Adam took a deep breath, taking courage. "Stephanie, I know it's early, but I want to build a life together. A life that includes our dreams of having a family. Will you be my partner?" Adam's words touched the core of Stephanie's deepest desire. She looked into his eyes, feeling a mixture of happiness and gratitude. "Yes, Adam. Yes, I do," Stephanie replied, her eyes shining with tears of joy. And so, under the soft glow of candlelight and the gentle murmur of background music, Stephanie and Adam took the first step towards their future together. A future that included not only their career dreams and personal accomplishments, but also the love and promise of a family they both craved. The sun shone high in the sky as Stephanie walked across the lawn of the new home she and Adam had chosen together. The spacious property was surrounded by tall trees and a vast garden, a tranquil retreat that seemed tailor-made for her dreams of building a family. Stephanie looked around, admiring the serenity of the environment. She could imagine the children running across the lawn, playing among the flowers and discovering the secrets hidden in the corners of the garden. Next to him, Adam appeared with a cup of coffee, his smile lighting up his face. "Do you like the house, love?" Adam asked, wrapping his arm around Stephanie's shoulders. Stephanie nodded with a beaming smile. "It's perfect, Adam. It is the place I have always dreamed of for our family." After moving in, they shared laughter and deep conversations as they adjusted to the routine of life together. Adam continued to support Stephanie in her career at Rainbow Elementary School as she brought home stories and challenges she faced with her students. One afternoon, as they walked hand in hand through the garden, Adam suddenly stopped and looked at Stephanie tenderly. "Steph, ever since we moved into this house, I've been dreaming of the future we're going to build together," Adam began, his eyes shining with emotion. Stephanie looked at him, curious and eager to hear his words. "I know our lives have changed so much since we met, but there's something I want to tell you," Adam continued, kneeling softly before her. Stephanie held her breath, barely believing what was happening. Adam took a small box out of his pocket and opened it, revealing a beautiful engagement ring. "Stephanie, you are the person I want to share all my days with. You agree to marry me again?" Adam asked, his eyes searching hers with deep love. Tears of happiness slid down Stephanie's face as she shook her head in an enthusiastic yes. Yes, Adam. Yes, I accept. The hug that followed was full of warmth and promise for the future. Stephanie and Adam began planning their second wedding, this time with a personal touch that reflected their journey together. As the months passed and the big day approached, Stephanie and Adam couldn't contain their excitement for what was to come. They sat together on quiet afternoons, dreaming of the children they hoped to have one day, of the joys and challenges they would face together. The months that followed were one of intense activity and happiness for Stephanie and Adam. They devoted themselves to the preparations for the wedding, choosing every detail carefully and enthusiastically. The ceremony was held in a flowering garden, surrounded by friends and family who celebrated the love and unity of the couple. After the wedding, Stephanie and Adam plunged headlong into the life of newlyweds. Stephanie watched the flowers bloom in the garden, a gentle breeze swaying the leaves of the trees around. She felt the warmth of the sun on her face as she reflected on the past few months. Since moving into their new home, Stephanie and Adam had plunged into their marriage with enthusiasm and hope. However, an unexpected obstacle had arisen in his path. Despite their dedicated efforts, Stephanie and Adam faced difficulties conceiving a child. Regular visits to the doctor revealed challenges that needed to be overcome, a journey that left Stephanie with a heavy heart. One night, as she and Adam sat together in the coziness of their living room, Stephanie felt a knot of sadness form in her chest. She looked at Adam, who immediately noticed the change in his countenance. "Steph, what's going on?" Adam asked softly, holding her hand tenderly. Stephanie took a deep breath before speaking. "Adam, me? I know we're doing everything we can, but it's been so hard. I didn't expect it to be so complicated." Adam looked into her eyes. His heart clenched as he saw the pain on her face. He shook her hand firmly, seeking to comfort her. "Stephanie, I understand how you're feeling, but we are strong together, and we will overcome this. Let's find a way to make our dream come true," Adam said, his voice charged with determination and love. Stephanie felt somewhat comforted by Adam's support. She knew he was by her side, facing every challenge along with her. However, the weight of uncertainty still weighed on his heart. In the days that followed, Stephanie and Adam continued to seek medical advice and explore options to increase their chances of conceiving. They kept hope alive by finding solace in each other during times of frustration and sadness. One sunny morning, Stephanie woke up with a sense of inner calm. She looked at Adam, who was sleeping peacefully next to her, and felt a surge of gratitude for having him in her life. "Adam," Stephanie called softly, stroking his face. Adam blinked his sleepy eyes, smiling as he saw Stephanie's face lit up by the morning sun. "What is it, love?" he asked, his voice soft with sleep. Stephanie smiled, feeling brave to share her thoughts. "I just wanted to say that, even though we are facing challenges, I am so grateful to have you by my side. You give me the strength to continue." Adam held her hand affectionately. "I love you, Stephanie. We'll get through this together, I promise." And so, with love and determination as their anchor, Stephanie and Adam continued their journey of hope. Stephanie sat quietly in the quiet chapel of the small town of Chapel Hill. It was a serene afternoon, where the golden rays of the sun broke through the old stained glass windows, painting the floor in soft colors. She was alone, immersed in her thoughts, the words of her prayers floating in the air. "Please, God, grant me this grace. Let me be a mother." The weeks had turned into months of uncertainty and hope. Stephanie and Adam had faced each challenge together, keeping alive the flame of their desire to build a family. Every test, every visit to the doctor was a journey of expectation and nervousness. One morning, Stephanie woke up with a subtle feeling of change. She stood up slowly, feeling a thrill of expectation run through her body. After a short break, she decided to do something that had become routine in recent times, a pregnancy test. The minutes that followed were an eternity. Stephanie held the test, watching the lines slowly form. His heart beat faster as the result took shape before his eyes. Positive. She couldn't believe it. Tears of happiness rolled down her face as she hugged the test tightly. She finally made it. She was pregnant. With trembling steps, Stephanie went to the room where Adam was still sleeping. She approached the bed, feeling a mixture of nervousness and joy. Carefully, she woke Adam, who blinked sleepily as he saw her standing beside the bed with a beaming smile. "Adam, love," Stephanie whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Adam sat up on the bed, immediately alert as he saw the tears in Stephanie's eyes. "What is it, Steph? What happened?" Stephanie held the pregnancy test, her voice shaking. "Adam, we're pregnant. I'm pregnant." Adam stared at the test, his eyes widening at the revelation. In an instant, he wrapped Stephanie in a tight hug, his joy overflowing. "Stephanie, my love, this is wonderful," Adam exclaimed, his eyes shining with tears of happiness. "We did it. We are really expecting a baby." Stephanie snuggled into Adam's arms, feeling the comforting warmth of his embrace. She let the tears of happiness flow freely, savoring the long-awaited moment that had finally arrived, celebrating the miracle of life growing within her. Stephanie smiled as she carefully folded the tiny clothes she had just bought. The room was full of soft colors and adorable toys, prepared with all the affection to welcome your baby. Ever since she found out she was pregnant, she plunged headlong into preparations for the arrival of the little miracle growing inside her. However, a subtle cloud of worry was beginning to form in his heart. Adam seemed a little distant lately. He was still caring and attentive, but something had changed. He was more reserved, his thoughts seeming to wander away in moments of silence. One night, while Stephanie was setting up the crib in the baby's room, she noticed Adam watching her thoughtfully. "Adam, honey, is everything okay?" Stephanie asked softly, sitting next to him on the bed. Adam sighed, looking at Stephanie with a mixed expression of love and concern. "Steph, I've been thinking a lot." Stephanie felt her heart tighten as she saw the seriousness on Adam's face. "About what, Adam?" Adam hesitated for a moment before speaking. "About all this. About being a father. About how our life will change." Stephanie put her hand on Adam's, trying to comfort him. "Adam, I know it's a big change, but we wanted it so bad, didn't we?" Adam nodded slowly. "Yes, I know. And I'm happy, Steph. I really am. That's it. Everything seems so fast. Sometimes I feel a little lost." Stephanie looked into his eyes tenderly. "Adam, we're in this together. You are not alone. We will find our way together, as we always have." Adam smiled faintly, gratitude shining in his eyes. "You're amazing, Steph. I don't know what I would do without you." The days that followed were marked by sincere conversations and moments of closeness between Stephanie and Adam. She continued to involve him in the preparations for the arrival of the baby, sharing with him every little achievement and every new discovery. One sunny afternoon, as they walked hand in hand through the garden, Adam suddenly stopped and held Stephanie by the shoulders, looking at her with a tender smile. "Stephanie, I want you to know that, despite my concerns, I love you, and this baby more than words can say," Adam said, his eyes shining with sincerity. Stephanie felt her heart warm at his words. She hugged Adam fondly, knowing they were connected by a love that would be the foundation of their new family. Stephanie took a deep breath as she held Adam's hand in the waiting room of the obstetrician's office. It was the day of the first ultrasound, a moment awaited with great anticipation since she found out she was pregnant. His heart beat fast, a mixture of anxiety and joy pulsing in his chest. Finally, it was their turn. Stephanie lay carefully on the stretcher as the doctor applied the cold gel to her belly. Adam stood by her side, holding her hand firmly. Soon, the soft sound of the baby's heartbeat filled the room, a sound so sweet it brought tears to Stephanie's eyes. She looked at Adam, whose face was illuminated by a radiant smile. "Steph, are you listening to this?" Adam muttered, his eyes fixed on the monitor screen. Stephanie nodded, unable to contain her emotion. "It's amazing, Adam. Our baby is growing up healthy." The doctor adjusted the monitor, and then the image of the baby began to form on the screen. There he was, small and perfect, a small miracle that filled Stephanie's heart with a love she had never imagined possible. "It's a boy!" exclaimed the doctor, pointing to the screen where the outline of the baby's body was clearly visible. Stephanie let out an emotional laugh, feeling a wave of happiness flood her being. She looked at Adam, her eyes shining with pure joy. "A boy, Adam? We're going to have a boy," Stephanie said, her heart overflowing with love and gratitude. Adam wrapped Stephanie in a warm embrace, their hearts beating in unison as they absorbed the magnitude of the moment. They had a son on the way, a little being who would change their lives forever. Later that day, Stephanie called her parents, barely able to contain her excitement as she shared the news. "Mom, Dad, you won't believe it. We did the ultrasound today and found out we're having a boy," exclaimed Stephanie, her voice trembling with emotion. On the other end of the line, her parents expressed their joy and excitement, flooding Stephanie with words of love and happiness. They could not wait to become grandparents and were eager to follow every step of this amazing journey. Stephanie and Adam were preparing for the future with renewed happiness. In their home that now vibrated with the promise of a new family member, they looked forward to the day when they would finally hold their son in their arms, ready to share with him all the love and joy that the world could offer. Stephanie felt a lump form in her throat, fearing for the worst when Adam called her for a serious conversation in the 5th month of gestation. She sat with him in the living room, holding his hand tightly as she looked into his eyes, searching for answers she feared she would find. "Steph, I have to be honest with you," Adam began, his voice faltering. Stephanie held her breath, feeling a painful, foreboding form in her chest. "I've been feeling confused lately about all this," Adam continued, his words coming out with difficulty. "I don't know if I'm ready to be a father, not in the way we imagined." Stephanie's heart sank. She felt tears run down her face as she tried to process what Adam was saying. "Adam, we planned it together. I thought we were happy," murmured Stephanie, her voice choked with pain. Adam lowered his eyes, his hands shaking. "I know, Steph. I know we planned, but I've been having second thoughts. I need time to figure out what I really want." Stephanie felt as if her world was crumbling around her. She couldn't understand how Adam could change his mind so drastically. "What does that mean, Adam? What are you going to do?" Stephanie asked, her voice trembling. Adam looked at her with anguish. I need space, Steph. I need some time to think. I'm so sorry." And with these words, Adam got up and left the house, leaving Stephanie alone with her broken heart and growing belly. She curled up on the couch, hugging her belly carefully, unable to contain the sob of sadness that consumed her. In the days that followed, Stephanie faced a storm of emotions. She felt lost, confused, and devastated by the sudden turn in her life. Every movement of the baby inside her was a mixture of joy for the growing life and pain for the uncertainty of the future. She tried to lean on her friends and family, who offered words of comfort and support. She focused on taking care of herself and the baby, even though her heart was broken to pieces. Stephanie held her belly gently, feeling the baby's movements like little petals of hope inside. The days passed slowly, each bringing with it a mix of emotions that ranged from anxiety to determination. In the stillness of the night, when all sounds calmed down, Stephanie found solace in quiet conversations with her son. She caressed his belly affectionately, murmuring words of love and promises that she hoped he could feel. "My dear, I will be here for you. Always," Stephanie whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "We will go through this together. You will never be alone." The days stretched on, each marked by the countdown to the day she would finally meet her baby. While Stephanie took care of the preparations for the arrival, she found strength in the certainty that her love was enough to sustain them even in the most difficult moments. On a sunny afternoon, Stephanie walked through the garden of her house, absorbing the tranquility that the environment offered. She stopped under the shade of an ancient tree and looked up at the blue sky above her. "Little one, you have brought such a special light into my life," Stephanie said softly, her eyes shining with tenderness. "Even when things seem hard, I know you'll be here, reminding me of what really matters." Stephanie stroked her belly, feeling a surge of gratitude for this precious bond she shared with her son. She closed her eyes for a moment, allowing herself to feel the comforting presence of the baby growing inside her. As the end of the pregnancy approached, Stephanie plunged headlong into the last preparations to welcome her son. Despite the pain of Adam's abandonment, her heart filled with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation as she imagined the face of the baby who would soon be in her arms. Stephanie spent hours assembling the crib, carefully choosing each piece of clothing and arranging the small details of the room. Every action was driven by an unconditional love she felt for the one who would soon be her son. She placed her hand on her belly, feeling the baby's movements as a constant reminder of the life she carried within herself. On quiet evenings, when the world outside seemed to fall asleep, Stephanie talked in whispers with her son. "My darling, no matter what happens, you are my greatest gift," Stephanie murmured, her fingers gently tracing patterns over her belly. "I promise to be here for you, to love you with all my heart." As the weeks passed, Stephanie found comfort in the presence of friends and family who shared her excitement and supported her during this emotionally challenging time. She guarded each moment with a renewed sense of purpose and hope. One serene afternoon, as she watched the golden sunlight bathe the baby's room, Stephanie felt a surge of gratitude for everything she had experienced up to that moment. She knew she was ready for the next chapter of her life, guided by the deep love she nurtured for her son. Stephanie was in her room, arranging the last details of the trousseau when she felt a familiar twinge in her belly. She put her hand on her belly and took a deep breath, recognizing the contractions that indicated that the long-awaited moment was finally coming. With a racing heart, Stephanie grabbed her phone and quickly dialed her parents' number. His hands trembled as he waited for the call to be answered. "Hello, Mom? Dad?" said Stephanie in a trembling voice. The contractions began. "I think it's time." On the other end of the line, his parents were silent for a moment, before his mother's worried voice broke the silence. "Steph, my love, we're on our way. Don't worry, we'll be there soon to take you to the hospital," her mother replied, concern evident in her words. Stephanie nodded, unable to contain the mixture of emotions that flooded her. "Thank you, Mom. I can't wait to meet my baby." While waiting for her parents to arrive, Stephanie prepared as best she could. She took a deep breath, remembering the childbirth classes she attended and the loving support she received from everyone around her. A short time later, the door opened and her parents entered, their eyes full of tenderness and concern. They hugged Stephanie warmly, offering words of encouragement as they helped her prepare to leave. "Are you ready, dear?" asked his father with a comforting smile. Stephanie nodded, feeling grateful to have her parents by her side at this crucial time in her life. On the way to the hospital, the air was charged with expectation and nervousness. Stephanie chatted with her parents, sharing their emotions and anxieties as they counted down the minutes until they reached their destination. Arriving at the hospital, Stephanie was met by medical staff who guided her to the delivery room. She looked at her parents, her heart overflowing with gratitude for their constant presence and unwavering support. "Wish me luck," Stephanie said with a smile, feeling a surge of determination and expectation wash over her. "You will do incredibly well, my dear," said her mother with a gentle smile. "We are here for you, always." And with these comforting words echoing in her mind, Stephanie prepared for the most significant moment of her life so far, confident in the love and support that surrounded her. Stephanie was determined to have a natural birth, but as the hours dragged on in that delivery, stretching to more than 24 hours, her hopes began to fade. The contractions, initially promising, did not result in the dilation necessary for safe delivery. The medical team, concerned for Stephanie and the baby's well-being, decided that an emergency cesarean section was the best option. Stephanie held her mother's hand firmly as doctors hurriedly prepared her for an emergency cesarean section. The environment around her was tense and charged with worry as she struggled with the emotions that consumed her. "It's going to be okay, honey. The doctors know what they're doing," her mother said, trying to convey calm despite the anxiety in her voice. Stephanie nodded, her eyes closing for a moment as she concentrated on breathing deeply. She could feel the baby moving inside her, a mixture of hope and fear flooding her heart. The doctors acted with precision, arguing quickly among themselves as they prepared Stephanie for surgery. She felt like a spectator of her own drama, powerless in the face of circumstances that threatened the safety of her and the baby. "Steph, are you ready?" the doctor asked earnestly, his voice cutting through the tense air of the room. Stephanie nodded again, her eyes meeting her mother's in a brief moment of silent communion. She felt grateful to have her mother by her side, offering unwavering support amid the chaos. The operating room was cold and sterile when Stephanie was taken inside. She closed her eyes for a moment, sending out a silent prayer as the doctors began the procedure that would decide their future. The steady sound of heart monitors echoed in the air as doctors worked with determination. Stephanie felt as if every second lasted an eternity, her heart beating out of step with the events unfolding around her. "We're almost there, Stephanie," one of the doctors said, his quiet voice trying to calm the palpable tension in the room. At the moment when the baby finally came into the world, Stephanie felt a wave of relief and gratitude wash over her. She looked at her newborn son's face, her eyes filled with tears of joy and emotion. But then, her vision began to darken, and a feeling of cold and weakness enveloped her, as if her body was sliding into a dark and bottomless abyss. The doctors immediately realized that something was wrong and redoubled their efforts to save Stephanie. But despite all his heroic efforts, it was too late. Stephanie departed this world, leaving behind her newborn baby and a sea of broken hearts. She couldn't fulfill her dream of becoming a mother, and beside her, her desperate mother cried in disbelief as she was comforted by one of the nurses. But as the doctors prepared to deliver the baby to the care of the neonatal team, something extraordinary happened. The baby, wrapped in white blankets and still attached to his mother by the umbilical link, stretched out his fragile little arms and, with a delicate movement, hugged Stephanie's inert body. It was a moment of solemn silence in the delivery room, as everyone present stared in disbelief at the scene before them. And then, as if in response to the loving embrace of his son, something incredible happened. The heart monitors that had been silent for more than 2 minutes began to sound, and the doctors saw with amazement and joy that Stephanie's heart was beating again. The miracle of life had manifested itself in a way no one could have predicted, bringing Stephanie back from the brink of death and giving her a second chance to be by her son's side. Tears flowed freely down the faces of the doctors and nurses, testifying to the power of love and the bond between mother and child. And as Stephanie held her baby in her arms, wrapped in an aura of light and warmth, she knew that despite all the difficulties and challenges she had faced, her love for her son had brought her back to life. And so, in the midst of chaos and tragedy, a miracle happened in that delivery room, reminding everyone that love is the most powerful force in the universe, capable of overcoming even death. Stephanie did not believe that she would be a mother again, but a few years later she met John, from whom they married and had together 5 more children, living happily and united. Thank you very much to those who have supported the channel financially through the link in the comment pinned. This helps me to bring more and more stories to you. And don't forget to like and also subscribe to continue receiving the new stories.